Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Jay here from Faith Evolved, April 14, 2019. And today's topic is going to be all about reincarnation. And I want to provide you a theory. It's not my own theory, it's really my interpretation of the Urantia Book and how it portrays, so-called past lives and existences before, us living this human life in the flesh. So, one section I really love, probably more than anything besides, the Jesus papers, would be paper 107 to 110, I believe. It's the all about the thought adjusters, and kind of an unfortunate name, even though it does also go by mystery monitor, fragment of God. I like fragment of God the best. That seems to be, the best explanation of what these entities are. But yeah. Thought adjusters is what seems to be the default, what it defaults to. And maybe there's a reason for that. Maybe it's, something in our minds that's being adjusted, to think more divinely instead of, fleshly, in the sense that this is it. This is all we have. We have no link to the divine. When this is, the thought adjuster's like, hey, yeah, you are. Anyways, the paper 107 in the Urantia Book goes into explaining what a thought adjuster is, and it says the adjusters are actually, or the actuality of the Father's love incarnate in the souls of men. They are the veritable promise of man's eternal career imprisoned within the mind, the mortal mind. They are the essence of man's perfected finality or personality, which he can foretaste in time as he progressively masters the divine technique of achieving living the Father's will. So, essentially, it talks about how the thought adjuster, it says here, since the thought adjusters are of the essence of original deity, no one may presume to discourse authoritatively upon their nature and origin. So this book doesn't say this is the exact, 100% exact, unequivocal truth on the matter. It's going to say what they know. And now keep in mind, the Urantia Book, just to give you a little history on it, came out, published in 1955, and it was, essentially, came to us from celestial beings, I know it sounds crazy hearing that word come out of my mouth, but think about it. If any divine knowledge were to come to us, we're just a bunch of humans running around, on planet Earth. We have no proof of aliens, but if we were to get some kind of message from beyond us, they're probably more advanced. So this is if you think logically, we're looking out there, we have satellites looking for these aliens, extraterrestrial life, signs of life in space and other planets. So we're looking for it, but when they communicate with us, it's crazy to think, really? They put it in a book form? Well, we're always looking for knowledge, and what a better place to put it in a book form. They're probably not going to show themselves in a video or record audio. You probably couldn't understand their language, But anyways, a little sidetrack there. But so this book came to us by celestial beings. There, and I said it and I believe it. As I grew up as a fundamental Christian in the church, yeah, I'm sure that's a heresy to 95% of Christendom. But you have to read it, And once you read it, you'll know why I'm so adamant and so confident in this as being, the words of angels, essentially. So the whole point of me saying all this is their information that they're giving to us. They're way more advanced than us, and they don't even truly know, and they can't discourse authoritatively on this. But anyways, this is their perspective. So, they say, together with their, meaning the thought adjusters, many unrevealed associates, the thought adjusters are undiluted, unmixed divinity, unqualified, unattenuated parts of deity. They are of God, and as far as we are able to discern, they are God. So, this is saying that a fragment of God exists inside of our mind, and it is God. So this kind of makes sense that a lot of these, before I got into the Urantia Book, I was dabbling in New Age stuff and reading about near-death experiences and hearing how people talked about, we're all God, and although I don't believe I'm God, this seems to make sense as to why so many people that have near-death experience feeling like they are God. Because this book goes on to explain that, there's a personality, which is us, me talking here, Joseph Cavallaro Jr., this personality and my traits, and everything my character flaws and, you know, things I like to do and, you know, all that kind of stuff. That's my personality. And then there's the divine part of me, which is the God living in me, the Spirit of God, as Christians would call it, in this book too. But, you know, so there's we're kind of like a twofold creature. You know, we're part God and part human. You know, and and the book talks about, you know, if you're offered eternal salvation or eternal life, you can either reject it or you can accept it. And so it talks about 7 different types of thought adjusters. So it tells how these thought adjusters proceed from God, from the universal Father, the first source and center. So they come directly from God himself, the one source consciousness, if you want to call it that. So they don't even truly know everything that the thought adjusters do, but they have been able to break them down into 7 categories. And they said there's virgin adjusters, which are for the very first time serving initial assignments in the minds of evolutionary candidates for eternal survival. They haven't lived other lifetimes. Okay. Then we have advanced adjusters, who they say on some planets there are creatures that merge with the spirit instead of with the thought adjuster. And so those thought adjusters will indwell them, but they'll, you know, move on to other creatures after their lives are over. Remember that, advanced adjusters. I'm going to give you another one here, supreme adjusters. Those monitors that have served in the adventure of time on the evolutionary worlds, but whose human partners for some reason declined eternal survival. And those that have been subsequently assigned to other adventures in the mortals on other evolving worlds. Remember that again, too. Vanished adjusters. This is a 4th category, and this is about adjusters who are on a break from assignment of indwelling mortals. Liberated adjusters are ones who have been eternally liberated from their assignment. You know, they don't know what their functions may be, but they know that they exist. And then number 6, fused adjusters, which are the goal over time is for the human subject on any evolving planet to accept eternal survival and fuse with their thought adjuster or their fragment of God and become one with God. And eventually that's what happens. Then there's personalized adjusters, and those are, from what I understand, I often wonder if Judas has a personalized adjuster, because because it says here, those who have served with the incarnated paradise sons, together with many who have achieved unusual distinction during their mortal indwelling, but whose subjects rejected survival. Sounds like Judas to me. He killed himself after betraying Jesus. We have reason for believing that such adjusters are personalized on the recommendations of the Ancients of Days of the super universe of their assignment. So the Ancients of Days are the ones who decide whether you are judged with, being, essentially they judge you into annihilation. Essentially, they're the ones who, make that final decision, adjudicate, your final, existence, if you will. So you never know. Judas could be. He seemed like at the end he was like, he was sorry what he did. But anyways, I always think about what happened to Judas. The book doesn't really say what happened to him. But anyways, so just to kind of go back here a little bit. So we got advanced adjusters and we have supreme adjusters. So you know how there's a lot of primitive thoughts within religion that people have, like superstitions, like you still have Christians that, most Christians that believe that Jesus had to come and die on a cross to pay for the sins of the world to appease an angry God. A God that required, that some innocent blood be spilled to atone for the sins. Among a myriad of other things. That's probably just one of the things that's kind of like, really now with my enlightened mind, I don't believe that anymore. Like I believe that the universe is on my side. And I believe that God is on my side, and He has His angels, and despite all my flaws and issues, I always get kind of redirected back. That's a thought adjuster, I bet. Let's just say I did some things the past few days that I would not be proud of, but I don't stay down on the ground in shame, groveling to God anymore, because he at the very worst, He's using these things to teach me a lesson, not to punish me. But anyways, there's other things that I think that are in non-traditional religious practices. Let's just say like reading tarot cards or believing karma. Because of all your bad deeds in your past lives, you have to start all over again. Probably multiple times to you, quote, get it right, which I think is kind of crazy to think about, like, and the book specifically vehemently denounces that belief. And just as Christians have their own primitive beliefs, and maybe Muslims and Jews or whatever, this New Age thought of karma, or I don't know if it's equivalent from maybe Middle Eastern or something, or not Middle Eastern, but maybe like where Buddhists come from. I think that's somewhere out in like Asia. Well, I know it's from Asia, but what I'm saying is I think that ideology is more of an Eastern thought than a Western thought of karma. Out here we have the thought of sin, and if you sin, and you don't have, as most Christians believe, you're not saved, you go to hell or you're annihilated. And I still believe in annihilation, although I do believe that it's the last resort. It's like after all the mercy has been given to you and all the love, and you rejected it, we have a loving God. He's not going to force you to accept salvation. He's not going to force you to live if you don't want to. Which sounds crazy. Like, to me, I can't understand why anybody would not want to live. But if you decide for some reason you don't want to live because there's going to be work involved with it, I know that for a fact. and as soon as I die, I'm not going to be perfect. I'm going to have to work on some stuff, and it could take me millions, billions of years before I finally get to paradise. At least that's the kind of the gist I get from reading the Urantia Book. You ascend, of course, world by world, lifetime by lifetime. There is the idea of multiple lifetimes in the Urantia Book, so I think the New Age people got that right. But you start here. This is place number one, world number one, level one. Think of like Mario World. This is level one, and we have billions of levels to go through before we finally get to that central paradise, where we're in the presence of God Himself, the Universal Father Himself. So I look at this here and I go, okay, we have advanced adjusters. There are some worlds where the mortals don't fuse with their adjuster. They fuse with the spirit instead. I don't really understand that too much. But, okay, so we have those folks, and the adjusters maintain, like in their memories, if you will. Let's think about computer memories. They store the lifetime of events and emotions and thoughts of that mortal subject in their being, and they indwell another person. All right? And it does say somewhere further on in the book that eventually all those past experiences become a part of that being when they fuse with that final personality that they fuse with. So it makes sense that there are people that go, I could have sworn I had a past lifetime. It's probably from your adjuster, kind of you're gleaning that from your adjuster. You personally, your mortal being of you, as John Smith on planet Earth. You've only existed once. You're not you. Of course, you have your own soul as that personality, but that soul hasn't pre-existed. There's no pre-existing soul. Souls are created on Earth, but your spirit could have previously existed. And there's another one here: supreme adjusters who have been immortals who have declined eternal survival, denied the eternal career. Those are also, those adjusters can also indwell the minds of other mortals. So there you have it. I think that this kind of clears up the misunderstandings, just like we have like the Christians are right about God existing, and right about Jesus, and right about God loving us, and His infinite love, and He's just a lot of the good aspects of God that we believe. But we also believe that He has this anger and vengeance and and retribution. He's gonna make you pay for your sins if you're not saved, and all this stuff. But just like that, I juxtapose that right up against the New Age people believing that this is karma, and you could live multiple lifetimes. And the book says no, that's a I don't know the exact phrase used, but essentially in spirit it's saying that's like the chains on our souls, being held back by those limiting beliefs that were those unfortunate beliefs that we have to keep trying to get it right lifetime after lifetime after lifetime after lifetime and overcome our bad karma. No, that's also a superstitious belief. So how does that account for people feeling like they have past lifetimes? Well, right here. You have a spirit in you that could have possibly lived before. Anybody that's confused on the subject of past lifetimes, and it just doesn't contradict the experience you had. Like I know a friend of mine, Christian Sundberg. He believes in the fact that he had a pre-birth experience and had previous lifetimes. This doesn't contradict anything. This actually confirms the love of God. If God is love, and why would He force us to keep going through these horrible experiences, lifetime after lifetime after lifetime? What if it's just that these subjects, these human subjects have had previous experiences from the thought adjustment, the spirit, the fragment of God, and everybody believes that when we die, I shouldn't say everybody, but a lot of the New Age people believe that when you die, your spirit goes back and you're one with God again. Well, that eventually does happen. I do believe you do become one with God, but you still have your unique personality, and the book harps on that. You always will have a unique personality. You're not going to become one with God and be God as His infinite self. I don't know if that ever happens. That might take eternity for that to happen, but then again, he is eternal. So I'm not sure if that happens. I think that it almost kind of makes sense in a closed loop for that to eventually happen, and then starts all over again, and eternity starts all over again. But I was thinking like way far out, like eternally in the future. I mean, or the past. I mean, it's all the same, But yeah, we have our own personalities, and we're not going to have to go through multiple lifetimes on this earth. No, we do have to go progress and ascend. After we die from here, we go to the next level 2. Go, and you are one step closer to attaining the Universal Father, one step closer to the infinite presence. And you keep improving spiritually, and you keep putting off the tendencies of the flesh, of being immortal, and it just gets better and better over time. And I can't even imagine, the book talks about billions of, different lifetimes. Maybe not billions, but I know there's like, once you finally reach the central universe, there's like 1 billion planets there, and you have to ascend one by one. So at least 1 billion lifetimes right there. But, I don't know. I mean, this is all just, my interpretation and understanding, but I really think that, I really want people to get this idea of karma, having to overcome karma. Like, get that idea out of your head. It's a primitive notion. It's just as bad as Christians saying that sin is going to send into eternal torment. Well, I should say that's worse. But what I'm saying is that it's just as primitive. It's a primitive thought. Or let's make it more equal. It's just as bad as Christians saying that Jesus had to die for our sins to appease an angry God. Yeah, that's a better comparison. But I like to make connections. I'm a connections-based person. I get a thought here, and I put them together. And this is what I'm doing right now. This is the whole purpose of this channel. Really, one of the major purposes of this channel is to kind of bring together Christians and Jews and even Muslims and of Eastern religion, Buddhists and New Age people all together and say, hey, you know what? We're all trying to do the same thing here. We're all trying to get to God. And I'm going to do another video about this called "You Cannot Serve the Wrong God." And although you kind of can, there's a meaning behind what I mean by that. If that makes any sense. It makes sense more in my head than it does as I'm saying it out loud. So you'll get it when I do that video. But anyways, thanks for listening. I hope this has been helpful in some way. Check out the Urantia Book if you haven't. It literally has changed my life. I have never read anything that just 2 things. First, confirmed everything I already thought or had a feeling about how everything works. The world, the universe, God, people, Jesus, all that stuff. And it answered questions that I got confusing answers on from formal religion, or even like the New Age movement, which has a lot of good stuff in it. But I still think some of their practices are like believing animals have spirits, or we were once animals in the past. Like I know we evolved from animals, but I'm saying we were not in animals before this. Or reading tarot cards or astrology, or this idea of karma. I think it's all primitive stuff that eventually will fall away, just like the primitive stuff, in Christianity and other religions will eventually fall away. And hopefully one day we have one world religion that is all about, getting closer to God and and believing we're all brothers and sisters. Anyways, thanks for watching. God bless.